I got you.
Almost.
Michelle Burton, thank you so much for joining the UNOWeb interview show. I'm your host, Matthew Whiteside, as always. Michelle, how are you today? Scared?
Happy normal. Oh, God,
Yep.
yes. I think I might throw up in a minute.
Yep.
No,
Please do so.
I'm
That would be great, actually.
I'm having one of those I'm almost sane days.
Good.
You know, like I already told you, I took my meds. I took the normal pills. They haven't kicked in yet.
That's good. Do they? Let's talk about your book, Fate Unknown. You're the author of the book, Fate Unknown, and this is a thriller, right?
Supernatural suspense.
Supernatural suspense thriller.
I said super.
Super.
Super. It's super. You should read it.
It's super.
It's really super.
And this is book one.
Yes. In a planned series. I don't know how many it'll be. I'm more than halfway through book 2. There might be a third. I don't know. I'm totally winging this. I don't know what I'm doing.
Hey, we're all winging it. Totally. What is Fate Unknown about?
It's a woman that has an entity that dwells inside her. Like she's kind of possessed, right?
Okay.
His name is Marcus, or he says to call him Marcus. He's of unknown origin. She has no idea what he is, if he's a ghost or if he's a demon, because he's really good at like not answering questions. He's really good at like evading answers
Deflecting.
and deflecting. So she has no idea what he is. She's just they're almost symbiotic up to a point. And he has like powers, right? Like psychic type powers. So, and he'll show her things. They have like direct mental communication. So she's using this information from him to help people in the world, like save people, like find missing people, missing items. So that's what she does. Sometimes she works with the police.
Ooh. So she's like a detective with a spiritual
Sort
guide?
of. So she's sort of like most of the police force and people she works with thinks she's psychic. So she's like pretending she's psychic. She's not really, she's just possessed.
She's not psychic. She's just possessed by a demon. She's not a weirdo.
No, she's not a weirdo.
Okay. So where did the idea for this come from, for Fate Unknown?
What
was the main character's name again? I'm sorry.
Her name's Anne.
Anne. Okay.
I think it came from my wanting to understand my own craziness. I have borderline personality disorder. And that comes with a lot of, be really honest here, a lot of like impulse control issues.
Sure.
And so sometimes I'll be like, why in the name of God did I do that thing? Like I'm like, what is wrong with me? And then that's how the idea came to me. I'm like, what if there's something dark inside of me and that's what makes me do these things? And what if that darkness was like a whole other personality or entity? And that's why I started writing this story. It was like me trying to figure out my own crazy shit. Excuse my French.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I think a lot of times we'll write stories to kind of answer questions for ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you come to any kind of realization while writing this?
No, not really. I don't know. In some ways, I'm more messed up than I thought I was, and in some ways, less. It's like Anne is more messed up.
Okay, so she's more depraved mentally than you are. That's good. Is that right?
She's a lot like me. I hope I didn't do the whole like, what do they call that? Mary Sue or whatever. What do they call that writing trope of the perfect MC Mary Sue or something like that? I'm not thinking.
That's okay.
Where like the writer puts too much of herself in there, but kind of a perfect version of herself. And I didn't want her to be too much like me, but she is like me in a lot of ways.
Well, I think that's part of it too. Like we want to write the character, the story. Like I want to write the story I want to read. I want to write the character I want to be. I want to see the journey of the person because I want to know how to get there.
I think that's true. It is sort of a self-exploration, kind
Yeah.
of self-therapy, really, because I can't afford regular therapy.
That's right. It's expensive. Might as well
Like
try to
$80 an hour.
therapize yourself and then make some money on it when you by publishing it.
Yeah,
Right?
I can charge myself $80 an hour.
There you go. Pay yourself first. That's
Pay myself $80 an hour for all this self-therapy.
all the therapy. So, what was discovered in writing this book for you?
That I don't know what I'm doing.
That you don't know what you're doing? Was this
That
your first book?
second attempt at writing a book. I
Okay.
started writing a book many years ago. It was a good idea at the time, but I knew absolutely even less than I know now. I've spent some time on writers forums and whatnot, learning as much as I could online because I have no money. So it's not like I took no writing classes or whatever. I have no degrees. I'm
Right.
not particularly well educated, but I want to self learn. So like online, whatever I can get a hold of, how to write and what to avoid and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So a little bit, and I started that blog where I do my short stories, and
Right.
that's like writing practice for me. And I think I honed it quite a bit and discovered my writing style that way,
Yeah, I think
and a little bit more confidence too in my writing. A little.
because you started putting it out there, and people weren't like,
There
this is
were
the
some.
worst thing I've ever seen, right?
It's not really popular blog, but uh, I'm amazed when I look at the stats, right? And I don't know if you're on WordPress or if all blogs do this, but I can look and see the country that the person is in
Yeah.
that visited the site, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, there's people like from like not just the UK, but like the Middle East and Australia and just Africa, like all over the world, and they're looking at my blog, and I'm like, wow, who are these people?
It's mind blowing, right? It's
Yeah, I know. It's really cool.
our audiences grow. That's fantastic. I think writing is one of those things that you can only learn by doing. Obviously, I think
I think so.
you can learn techniques, which are important and it's different skills. But if you've not written, like if you're not writing practically, then you have no idea how to do anything. Like just the art of just sitting down and putting words on paper
You have to
is
just do it.
yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of freedom in that too.
And I don't think I know what I'm doing, but my motto is fake it till you make it.
That's
And
right.
that sort of like covers about everything in life.
Just
I'm
faking it.
scared. I wish I was brave. Fake it till you make it. So, you know, those moments when I need an adult and I realize I am the adult. Like when all the lights go out and I have to go in the basement with just a lighter.
Yeah.
I'm like I want my mom. And then I realize I am the mom.
Yeah. That's an important realization because
It is.
we pretend like we're not supposed to be afraid anymore just because we're adults and grown up. But there's so many different fears out there that we have to deal with, you know?
Yeah.
And I've read too about like how writing is a great way of overcoming those fears by writing about your fears and like being able to process the things that scare you the most.
Yeah, it's weird. Like on my blog, a lot of my stories are predominantly are like the creepy, the twisted, a little bit into horror type genre.
Yeah.
But I don't even like to watch those kind of movies. So it's so weird that I'm writing the junk that if it was a movie, I would not watch
Yeah. But it's what you like to read.
because I'm a coward.
No. So but it's
I
what you like
used
to
to,
read though?
I used to when I was younger. I
Yeah.
mean, Stephen King. Um, on the tip of my tongue is an ancient like grandfather of horror. He he wrote Cthulhu. Do you know who I'm talking about? Brain fry. Never mind. It'll pop into my head like later on today.
Yeah. I'm sure for
I
both of
read
us.
a lot, and Poe, of course. Everyone probably has read Poe.
Yeah. Um, so with the writing, that used to be your favorite genre of reading. What is your favorite genre to read now?
I don't know. I like anything that gets into the realm of paranormal or supernatural.
Yeah. So ghosts or vampires,
Maybe
zombies.
not so much vampires anymore, only because it's such a used and abused genre and trope now, like that premise, it's been done and done and done.
Yeah. So what then? Ghost, like that kind of
Or
paranormal?
or time travel or just anything that's a little bit of the paranormal. Like I'm not big on romance, but if it has a supernatural twist, I would totally read it.
Okay, so supernatural stuff is definitely your go-to now.
And in real life, frankly, I'm very interested in metaphysics and things of that nature.
What do you mean?
I I believe in ghosties and psychic power and all that. Metaphysical concepts, like ESP and the human. I think the human brain, the human soul, whatever we are that is special, that puts us in a category to ourselves above and beyond all other life on this planet. I think we have something special about us. I don't know if it's in our brain or our chemistry or our soul or some combination, but
Hmm.
I think we can reach this higher plane of consciousness and access that. And I believe it's possible to, I believe anything is possible. And if, like quantum physics, excuse me, I'm about to just go totally off on this. If
Please.
you're familiar with quantum physics, there's this concept. They had these experiments. I believe it was the double slit experiment was one of them where a photon they found that the actions of a photon actually conformed to the expectations of the observer during the experiment, and it was really
Hmm.
mind-blowing at the time. This happened many years ago, but that's what gave way. Have you ever heard of the term the original observer? That
Yeah,
that's partly coming from that double slit experiment, and also because of
where light's a
um,
particle and a wave.
exactly a particle in a wave. I'm really impressed that you know that because most people don't. But yeah, so what collapsed the first wave into the first particle and started the Big Bang or whatever it was that happened, started everything in us. So there had to have been an original observer. I think that's really cool. It's like that says that there had to have been something there, some
Hmm.
consciousness, some awareness. It almost like science almost proves that there must be a God. And that's weird because I'm kind of borderline atheist in a way. So it's weird that I have to say this in the way that quantum physics says that there must have been almost like a God, like what collapsed the first wave into the first particle and started everything.
Right. Well,
If there must
definitely.
have been an observer.
There's definitely. I feel like we came from something. What it is, I think it's different. I feel
It's
like it's
weird.
open to interpretation for people, right? And we all have different experiences, and it's very personal to a lot of
I
people.
I was actually a practicing Wiccan for many, many years.
Hmm.
And I did start to lose that faith in everything at one point because of really nasty shit, excuse my French, going on in my life. Um,
Is shit French? Is that French?
no,
Is that a French
no,
word?
fuck is.
Fuck is French.
That's why people say excuse my French because that's technically a mispronunciation of the French word.
Fac.
Fa-
The
I
French
think
word
it's
is
Foucault.
fac.
I think it's Foucault or something like that. Um,
Foucault.
there was this weird movie I watched once that had that, and there was a some guy had a parrot given to him by his ex-wife, and the parrot she had taught it to tell him to call him fucker. It was all
Yeah.
French movie, so the parrot would just every once in a while say Foucault, and apparently that was calling him a fucker, and this was a gift
Ah,
from his ex-wife that she
wow.
trained to call him that. I just it's always stuck in my head. I love that scene. I don't ask me the name of the movie. I can no longer remember it. Maybe somebody who watches this might know.
They might. Yeah.
Is anyone gonna
Maybe
watch
the
this?
original observer will tell us.
The, let's hope.
Let's hope that. I think it's interesting though that you say that because um, I've been coming to this realization like that the universe wouldn't even exist for me if I was never born. So like the whole idea that the whole universe is here basically because I'm here is a pretty mind expanding thought. Like, oh, if I
I
wasn't
know
here,
exactly what you're talking about.
yeah,
And I think there is something to that. Like in reality, there really is something to that. It occurred to me that what if man, human beings, us, we are the original observer?
it's like the
Because
movie
time, think
Interstellar,
about it, time is merely a construct.
yeah, that we've created.
Time is a construct and it goes both ways. Past, present, past, present, and future is really all one. Passage of time is just a construct of our experience and isn't therefore actually real. So therefore, we can be the original observer.
Yeah, because we don't we think everything's going towards an end because we're going towards an end, but in
I
reality,
stay up late thinking weird stuff like this.
yeah, me too. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's some of that mind expanding stuff, you know. It's questioning your own existence and reality.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
I want to know though, why do you feel that anyone should read Fate Unknown? What is it that you do in this book that you feel is unique or special, or even if not those two things, like what is it for you that you love about this book?
That Anne, even though I think she struggles to find herself and know herself
Hmm.
because she's always had this other thing inside of her, and sometimes really directs her behavior and her experiences so much so that sometimes she thinks that she doesn't even know her own thoughts anymore or who she is anymore. But
Sure.
yet she's stuck in this unusual circumstance and she could she could use this to her advantage but and gain, but she up to a point she does, but mostly she just tries to help people. She's just trying to help people. And I hope that's what people see and will like.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be tough, right? It's like misidentifying yourself with these other thoughts that don't feel like you, but they're so loud and prevalent that it's like, well, it's got
I
to be me,
I
right?
think that's a good I think that's a good metaphor, if you would, for mental illnesses and for
Yeah.
addiction. It's like I have this thing inside of me that makes me want to do these things.
Yeah, there was a comedian I was watching yesterday. He was talking about like how our brain has ears and our brain has eyes. Like if I tell you, think of an orange, like a picture of an orange will appear in front of your face only that only you can see, right? Or like if I tell you to sing happy birthday to yourself without actually singing it, you'll be able to hear that song in your
Right.
head without actually hearing the
You know
words
what's really
verbally.
cool about that is that they've actually wired up people's brains where they can see which parts of the brain light up under different
Mhm.
stimulus. And they discovered, I don't know how true this is, but I think it's awesome, cool, is that if you tell somebody to think of eating an apple, the same part of the brain will light up as if they
Yeah,
really were eating an apple. And
yeah,
it's just from their imagination or their memory or what have you. I think that
right.
is just so totally cool.
Well, it was interesting because he's talking about like how the level of the voice in your head, like how loud it is. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe like mine can get kind of loud, but not it's never really like screaming. Some people I feel like have voices in their head that are like screaming so loud that they can't hear anything else. And it's the difference between like being normal mentally and then being to the level of, you know, insanity is that that voice in your head just you just it's just turned the volume's just turned up way too loud so you can't think any differently, you know?
Right. I think everybody has those moments of self doubt or anxiety or a destructive urge or to do something stupid or dangerous or risky. But people with addictions, with mental illness, and various other problems, that voice is just so loud that it's difficult to ignore
Yeah.
or to get past or to cope with.
I love that. I love the title of the book, Fate Unknown, because it speaks, just getting to talk to you, it speaks so much to how I feel like you're traversing this path of writing this story and trying to figure out for yourself what the fate of your own humanity is.
It is. It's true. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's very apt, actually. Yeah. I don't know how it's gonna end.
Yeah. But you're working on book two.
Hmm.
And see, that's the thing. I'm writing, I just wrote book one of a story that I'm writing, trying to figure out what would happen if I had massive success. And I had to split it up into multiple books because I realized I still have no clue. Like I'm wanting my character to figure it out for me, and he's he's just going on this journey. But it's like we're trying to answer these questions for ourselves, and it's fun. That's I think that's part of the storytelling. It's fun when we become part of the story. It makes it just makes it so much more real, and I feel like we can capture an audience more so in that way when we write from that place.
I think that I know it's common to me, perhaps to you and other writers. I've certainly heard it from other writers. It's like I'm not making this up. I sit down and start writing, and I'm discovering the story and I'm discovering the
Yeah,
characters. And
yeah,
stuff happens that I hadn't planned on, and my characters just come alive and try to do whatever it is they want to do. Sometimes I don't like that.
yeah, exactly. It's a neat process for sure. Do
Hmm.
you do you write every day?
I try.
Okay.
Lately, it's not been going so well. Like um, book one, Fate Unknown came out uh, like spring, summer of 2018. So I told myself a year to write book two. So here it is. We're in spring 2019, and I'm barely more than halfway through with the rough draft of book two. And so that self-imposed deadline is just like screaming at me. And I'm beating myself up about it so much and so stressed about it that I'm actually blocking myself even more.
Yeah. Is it, are you sitting down and trying to write every day? Or is it,
Yes, I
yeah.
definitely sit down and try to write every day. Sometimes I end up goofing off on Twitter or Facebook.
I know it can happen for sure.
Oh my God.
I think the fact that you're sitting down and trying though, and
Hmm.
I like to believe that when we get to those blocks, that it's really just more of what am I willing to write, because there's always something there. There's always some kind of dialogue going on in our head. There's always thoughts going on, but am I willing to put it down on paper because it's not the direction I want it to go? When in reality, it's like it needs to go in the direction it's gonna go, and just I have to be accepting of that fact. And I think once we allow ourselves to do that, all the good stuff comes out eventually.
The
But
story just goes where it goes,
yeah,
and you
it
have
just
to, and you have to let go.
yeah,
Maybe that's true for life too.
I believe it is.
There's kind of a thought.
I think it
Yeah,
is true for life because
that
we do spend a lot of our time trying to control it, right? And in reality, it's like how much of it do we really have control over? I mean, maybe one half a percent. We have like I have control over myself sometimes. I feel like, but I mean, in reality, that's about it.
and I don't know where I stand religious philosophy wise, but sometimes I do feel like you have to have some trust and faith
Yeah.
that whatever is out there is going to take care of you, and you're going to be okay, and just let go.
Yep.
And then other times I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no.
I know, right? And we just want to hold
Yeah.
on so tight, but it feel I've come to realize that it's kind of pointless for me to hold on to stuff that's not it was never mine in the first place. It was never mine to control to begin with. I just wanted to stick my nose in where it didn't belong and say that it's mine because
I think that's a good way of
I
thinking
wanted to
about it.
become yeah, I wanted to become powerful. Like I needed some validation for my purpose here, so I stuck my hands in my life into things that I had no control over.
Several years ago, I had a very interesting experience. This might be interesting to you. Okay, because I've always been Wiccan, For me, God has always appeared to be more female.
Hmm.
So goddess rather than God more often than not. I was doing this like a self-help program where I made my own CD of like what is it like positive type messages.
Yep.
I made my own CD. So I listened to it every day for several times in a row. And I was sort of like maybe partly in a meditative state listening to this. And one of the messages was something about the the God has ultimate love for me. And of course, I had switched it to goddess because I've always been that way. But I was sort of like in this deep meditative state, and what I said was not the goddess has ultimate love for me. This is going to make you laugh at first. Everyone always laughs until you think about it. The goddess has infinite. It was an ultimate. It was infinite love for me. I said the goddess has infinite milk for me. And I know it sounds funny at first until you think about what does that mean?
Milk,
Milk.
the nourishment,
That's
right?
exactly. And it was like a very heavy experience for me because I considered myself to be mostly an atheist at that time. I was
Mhm.
sort of trying to get back into some sort of faith, and that actually impacted me quite a lot. And like, wow, that's actually really, really cool. Like no matter what, I'm always gonna be okay and taken care of.
You'll always be nourished, and that's one of the things I believe too. That's an amazing experience because I think in each moment we're alive, there is more than enough. There's always abundance of what we need in that moment, as long as we're available to it in that moment. As soon as we step out and try to live in the future or sit in the past, we lose that capability, and it happens a lot.
Mhm.
It's hard to remain there because as soon as you realize you're in the moment, you step out of the moment. If that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
I like to think of it. I did talked about this in the podcast. Like Forrest Gump was great at this in that movie. He was just doing things, and he was happy, successful guy, just running around doing whatever.
He had a certain innocence about him to where he didn't overanalyze anything. He just did.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. You're that infinite milk thing. Um, I hope I don't get secondhand smoke. Thanks for
Okay, I'll blow it right at you.
well, right in my face. Thanks a
It's
lot.
probably not good for the camera.
The infinite milk thing, like it talks about in the Bible too, the manna from God of taking what you need in the moment. Like you can take as much as you need, but don't try to store it away and get greedy with it because then it'll just turn bad and mold and have all these parasites and stuff on it. Just take what you need in the moment, and you'll have everything you've ever needed in the
Right.
moment. And that's kind of how we have to be with life. I think that's cool. Are you so you don't practice the Wiccan anymore or no?
Not really. I've been trying to get back into it. I had a severe loss of faith because of just everything was just so horrible in my life at that time. And it became a spiritual crisis as well. And I'm like, F this. There's no way if this is not part of the plan, like there is no plan, like there's no way that there's something out there. And that was sort of what I had, but yet at the same time, I could never fully be an atheist because atheists generally will reject anything of the spirit.
Yeah,
Anything they can't like see and measure and touch and feel, they reject. But yet I still believe in like psychic power and ghosts and the afterlife and things of that nature because I've had so many weird experiences
right.
that just cannot be denied. So like
Yeah,
something's there. I'm not quite sure what it is or where it came from, but something's there.
it's more agnostic then. It's like
And
you're
it's true.
agnostic is just without knowledge. Like we're without knowledge of
That's true, I
what's out
guess.
there.
Or maybe
It's always interesting to me too. I have these conversations a lot about God and stuff, and it's funny we get into this because I always think it's funny when we try to put ourselves on top of an idea of a limitless being, whether masculine or feminine or whatever it is. When in reality, like if it's an infinite infinitely powerful, unlimited being, like wouldn't it just be everything and
It
anything? Like
is. I
it's
think it is
everything.
everything. I
It is
think you're right.
everything.
It's not female. It's not male. It
It's all of
is
it. All of it.
everything, and it's every man, woman, and child, and every rocking tree, and every
Yeah.
star, and everything everywhere.
Right.
But that's made of the same stuff as we are, in a manner of speaking, too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this computer, this desk that I'm sitting at, this chair that I'm sitting in is all made of the same stuff pretty much that I'm made of. Um,
And and if photons exist as both a particle and a wave, and react according to the expectations of the observer, then I think that opens up a realm of possibilities of the so-called paranormal. If
yeah.
photons are literally everywhere in everything, in every atom, in our bodies, and everywhere, a photon is light energy, and that's everywhere, and that's everything. So we have we are shooting out these photons constantly, and the universe is shooting them out back at us. And I think it's like we can tap into that directly, and we can affect things and change things within ourselves, within our reality. And it almost makes sense. Like, it almost seems like anything really is possible.
Anything is possible, Michelle. I can promise you that. I know for a fact
Hmm.
from
I don't like,
experience.
I can be rather scientifically minded and want an actual scientific explanation for events in this rational world we live in. And I want the proof, but at the same time, I do believe in things that can't be seen and measured, possibly yet.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We perceive things on the level of our perception. Like I have eyes, ears, nose, I can touch things. Like I can perceive them with my five senses tactilely, but there's more to it than that. Like there's more out there that I can't perceive. Like radio waves, I can't see them. They're there. Microwaves, I
Right.
can't see them. They're there. Just because I can't perceive them does not mean they don't exist. And that's why I think about like multiple dimensions are possible, like with and ghost and all that kind of spirits or whatever. It's just energy levels on different wavelengths that we're just incapable of perceiving at the moment at our present space and time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. There are a
That's
lot
right.
of things that we can't see with our naked eye, but we trust that it's there because science tells us it's there. So
Right.
perhaps science hasn't yet caught up, technologically speaking. We haven't invented the machine yet that can read these things, but some
No.
people can.
Yeah. I think the human body, the human technology is far more advanced than we give it credit for if we're able to tap into it. I think we
Maybe
don't spend enough
everybody can.
time.
Maybe everybody can do these things.
I think on a level where our physical forms are like tuning forks for different levels of awareness. And the more we get in tune with ourselves, the more we get in tune with everything around us, and we become open and aware to it. I think it takes time and practice and
I've
a lot of,
actually heard something very similar to that, having to do with the vibration of our bodies and compared to the vibration of the earth or the universe, so to speak, and it's when they become equal. I may not have this quite right. That
it's okay.
you have this broader experience.
Yeah.
It's very it's a very interesting concept.
Yeah. We got pretty far off track. It's fun
I
though.
know.
I
Isn't it
think
nice?
it's apropos though totally to the book Fate Unknown and the journey you've gone through writing the story and writing the second book, that our conversation kind of goes in the direction it does, because who knows, right? Like where where the fate of this conversation leaves you, and leaves us with the story. I
Hmm.
think it's pretty fitting.
Well, and I have to trust that no matter what, I'll be okay.
Yeah, I think you will.
Even if this fails miserably and nobody buys it, nobody loves me, I'm still okay. And I'll be
People love
okay.
people love you, Michelle. We love you. And I was gonna ask you too. Has the book? Have you gotten some feedback on the book yet?
A few people that have read it really, really love it. mainly probably more women than men have read it, but even the couple of men that have read it seem to really like it. And I'm glad for that. I didn't want it to be like chick lit, you know.
Yeah.
There's some romance in there.
I think the well-rounded story has to have a little bit of romance in it too.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to read it. It's definitely on my to be read list.
Great.
For sure. And I want to ask if you have any parting words for the writing community or people out there who don't know who you are that you want to leave them with. Something so profound that it'll change another person's life. Go. You've got 5 seconds.
That I didn't know what I was doing when I started out this. I was just trying to figure me out and it out, this find the story the whole time. And this is what I ended up with. And I want other people to know that they can do that too. Just do it. If you want to write, you have a story, then just do it. Just write it. It takes if it's there and it won't let go of you, it's like you have to do it. Just do it. Fake it till you make it. I didn't know what I was doing when I started out. I still don't know what I'm doing, and I'm doing it. So whatever.
That's right.
Everything will be okay.
Don't let old limited beliefs keep you from your ultimate destiny, your ultimate fate, Michelle.
Yes.
Don't let the limited beliefs keep you from that. It's wonderful. I'm so glad you wrote it. I'm so glad that you stepped out and faked it till you're making it now. You know, you're
I
just
hope.
no, you are. I mean, you've published the
Technically,
book and people
yes.
like it.
Technically,
Like
yes.
that's,
A
you know,
few people, yes. The like 4 people that have read it.
listen, those people, each one of those people created a universe the day they were born.
We are all universes in a way,
Think
aren't we?
about it. That's right. So
You're all,
isn't it important that one person read your book and thought it was incredible or good or they
yes.
enjoyed it?
Yes, it is. It is cool.
Entire universe likes your book. It's all on our
Okay,
perception.
yeah. An entire.
There
We are each our own universe.
you go. Excellent. Now, drink my Kool-Aid I have here, and
Hmm.
you're now part of the
I
UniWeb
have
cult.
coffee.
You're now part of the UniWeb cult. Join.
Yay!
You have to do the Zoltan hand sign.
How is that?
Zoltan. Zoltan.
I don't
There you
know if
go.
I don't know if I know what I'm doing.
This is actually Whiteside. I tell people it's Zoltan, but it's actually Whiteside.
Yep, right side.
That's right. Michelle,
I
it's
can
been a
turn it
pleasure.
upside down.
Matt, that's right.
Oh, Michelle.
Or Michelle.
You you get to be
You can play
both.
too. You can play too. I really appreciate you taking the time to join me on the UniWeb interview show. It was a pleasure getting to talk to you. More than because we talk via Twitter, and it's nice to put a face and a voice and a personality to text. So
Hmm.
this is exactly what I thought.
I'm everything that you imagined I would be
You're
and
everything I
more.
imagined and more.
Yes.
I'm gonna put links to your Facebook, Twitter, and also
Great.
to your book in the description of the video. Everyone,
Great.
make sure you pick up Fate Unknown. It'll blow your mind. This conversation blew my mind.
And don't forget about the short stories on the blog.
What's the name of the blog?
Michelle Burden, Twisted Tales, WordPress.com.
Repressed.
Word
WordPress.
WordPress.com.
So you said repressed. Okay.
I
Michelle
can't
Burden,
blah.
Twisted Tales.
I
It's
can't
okay.
talk.
It's okay. Michelle Burden, Twisted Tales.wordpress.com. I'll put a link in it to your blog as well.
I just write little twisted, creepy things that some of it is stuff I've actually experienced, and some of it is stuff that I imagined. Just weird little twisted stories. Somebody usually dies horribly. That's
Those are
about
the
how it
best.
goes.
That's how life works. Somebody there's somebody
Somebody's
dying
gonna
horribly.
die.
There's probably somebody dying horribly right now in the world.
Man, why you gotta bum me out?
Why you gotta bum me out, man?
What the?
Just being honest.
No, that just ruined my good mood.
Sorry. You'll
Okay,
get it back.
I will. I'm still smiling.
All right. Say bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.